So listen, learn, and share session. That means that we're gathering our stakeholders, concerned people in the community to understand what's getting ready to happen. What our plan is and our goals are is to be very consistent in everything that we do when we talk about environmental justice. Why? Because this is also about equality and equity, fair. There are things that are going on in the state, like I know that you heard about infrastructure bills and all other kind of bills. You had Governor Murphy signed in 2018 the new climate bill and all of this. What does that mean to you and to people? How do we get the message out? So I feel that we have to sit down and hold these type of sessions, be consistent in our message, get it out, start to build up advocacy and support. Well, we at the NAACP, we thought that if we can gather our branches, because we have an infrastructure already built, a history of holding meetings and events, that we can actually be that vehicle and talk to the people directly, gather the data, keep that data with us, and actually start to make a difference. Where people do not understand, we can point them towards advocacy about air, water, and land. And people say, oh, that's not. I'm going to be very simple because I said I wanted to start from the basics. There's probably people that know so much more than I do about this, but I'm a reader, I'm a learner. I read bills. I look at what it means to my community, to our community. Who can get jobs from this? What kind of training does it look like? Because that's what I'm very good at. I know employment and I know training. So now what we'd have to do is get the rest of everybody. What does those solar panels mean on our roof? I've heard so many questions about that. What is that on the roof? I'm 5 years in with my solar panels and my neighbors are still coming to me and asking me questions, and they talk about, can I own it? I said, yeah, if you can buy it, you can own it. But I chose not to. I just needed a reduction in my bill because I can take that money and put it in my pocket. Now, can everybody get a solar panel put on their roof and get those reductions of 50% of what their bill used to look like? People are hassling. We have a solar company here. We have an advocacy person here that can speak to all of these things, and they can tell you what they've been doing, when they started, and how it's going. Our goal here was just to get the message out to you guys so you can understand it in plain, simple English that this is where we're at. Sign up with us. We're going to consistently hold these sessions, different places, the New Brunswicks, the Perth Amboys. You know, wherever it is that we need to be, we're going to build out that infrastructure and get more people involved so we can accomplish these goals. What we're living through right now is so historic. Not one of us in this room has ever been involved. We wasn't around when the Industrial Revolution happened, okay? We read about it in a history book in school. Well, guess what? It's happening again, because that's the only thing that I can point to that this country's going through. I'm talking about this shift is so amazing, and it means something to so many of us.
My role is with the Energy Foundation. I coordinate a campaign called the Clean Energy Jobs Campaign, and it's rooted in trying to get New Jersey to have a clean energy transition that's equitable and also pro-worker. Have a show of hands, how many folks have heard about, you know, the number of jobs promised with clean energy? Yeah, most of you. So yeah, we're at a really pivotal moment right now where, you know, New Jersey is transitioning to clean energy with solar, offshore wind, battery storage, and you know we need to make sure that transition is equitable and that our communities are able to access those jobs, are trained up for those jobs, and have those resources to make sure that no one gets left behind. So this is really the root of the campaign, and it's all grounded in a model called Listen, Lead, Share, as Bill explained. Listen, Lead, Share is a process that was used in Illinois and led to a pretty incredible, enormous climate bill that included worker provisions, equitable access provisions, an expansion of community solar, and shut down polluting coal plants. About a dozen or so organizations have led Listen, Lead, Share sessions, having conversations like these with folks. About 3,000 people have been reached so far, and I know you folks are going to keep doing them, and just really having policy that's rooted from the community, not saying like, hey, here's what we came up with, here are some policy ideas, what do you think? No, like starting with the community to build some of those, what should workforce development hubs look like? What are some of the air emissions targets we should have to make sure that our kids aren't choking on fumes and have asthma? Like, how do we improve this over time? And the pillars of the campaign, why we care, is we want equitable access across the board. No one should get left behind. We want workers is the second pillar. We want workforce development, we want jobs, we want training for those jobs, and also we want those wraparound services for people to actually be able to get their foot in the door into jobs to begin with. And that looks like childcare, transportation. So those wraparound services make those jobs accessible for everyone. The third pillar is health. When we talk about really in scaling up renewable energy. Really taking a look at how do you expand offshore wind, how do you expand solar energy, that's going to, in part, decrease our reliance on, natural gas and incinerator and trash burning facilities that are polluting the air, which, will then have a domino effect in a positive way of, cleaning up our air and improving public health. So, I would love to hear from you folks. When we talk about clean energy, what does that bring up for you? Like, what do you think of? What comes to mind when I say clean energy?
When I was growing up, I lived about 200 yards from a park. And in that park were frogs, in that park were snakes, in that park were turtles, and it's kind of sad today that our children today growing up will not have that experience. They've since have paved over that park, and the water is not conducive for any form of life, and it's sad.
I'm coming from East Brunswick. Cranberry Road used to be all farms.
Oh, yeah.
It used to take from exit 8A to get to Route 18 maybe 15 minutes. Now it can take upwards to 40 minutes because for each of those warehouses they build, there's 200 trucks that come with it.
Yeah.
Plus, who knows how many employees in those places, and it just keeps going. And you mentioned flooding. Cranberry Road and some of the farmers here, that runoff that comes from the turnpike goes directly into some of those farms. And it's just one of those things that is really affecting the environment, and you just I like a $2 toothbrush as much as anyone else, but at what cost? It's really not $2 because it's killing us to get it.
We've, as a shop teacher, former shop teacher and a CD coordinator, we've been working closely with Solar Landscaping, where they came into our district, and a young man, Todd, came in and actually certified all of our instructors to actually certify kids, so they're getting credentialing and certification on solar panel installation, as well as some great PowerPoints on sustainable energy, green solutions. So yeah, thanks to our governor coming up with the climate change curriculum, but also to the outreach that Solar Landscaping has really helped us and help our young men and women. And so we're very fortunate, and look forward to continue working with Solar Landscaping, Community Solar.
It sounds like a scam, honestly.
Thankfully, Kevin's here
Thankfully.
from Solar Landscaping. Tell us more about that.
But does it not? It sounds too good to be true.
It
Just
does.
kind of
That's
anyway.
and that's
Yeah.
the biggest pushback. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
that question and that, we get that every day. Now, what's the catch? It's too good to be true. So I want to go through that with you. So kind of everybody's comfortable, and then you can help educate others. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to do is go through kind of how we got here, right? And what it's leading to. And the third thing, I think Bill's going to love this, and Reggie's going to love this, is I want to talk about workforce development. The actual workforce development that we are doing, not just in New Jersey, but I just came from Maryland with your friend Tony Stanings. I had dinner with Tony yesterday, and we did a training. We're doing a training yesterday, and today and tomorrow at Woodland Job Corps down there.
Okay.
And we've done some training here at Edison Job Corps. I want to share with you what that is. In addition to the training that we're doing with the schools, in addition to some of the curriculum that we're offering the young people, in addition to some scholarships that we're offering, all because of community solar and the way that the state went about writing this legislation. I think it's something we can all celebrate, you know? And then the last part I want to talk about is how do we, as this group, of workforce development is important, I think it should be, and to your point, Sandra, this idea of this hub, that's a wonderful idea. We have the resources, the expertise, and the jobs, and the referrals to other jobs that we can help with that. So this group says, let's do that. Let's get together and see if we can make that happen. So I'll talk to you about some of that. I think it's exciting. These two buildings that you're seeing a picture of right here, these buildings are in Perth Amboy. And this was a brownfield, so it was a contaminated site that they rehabilitated. They put these two buildings up there. It's kind of a little outside of town, right by 440 there. And then what we did is we have two community solar projects on there. It was owned by Duke Realty. Now it's owned by a company called Prologis. When you're driving around, you probably see the Prologis sign up. These two buildings are powering about 1,300 homes in Perth Amboy. That's what community solar does. So if I had come and spoken to this group 2 or 3 years ago, and we were talking about this project, there would be a lot less solar panels on the roof, because all we were allowed to do as a solar developer is put enough panels on that roof to power the building itself. So it was based on how much electricity the building used. So now we're New Jersey, right, the most densely populated state, and we're losing all this rooftop that we could have been using for solar. Now with community solar legislation that got passed in 2018 and really started to take off in 2019, we put solar panels on the entire roof. And what we do with the building owner is we pay that building owner a lease payment to be on their roof. Okay? That's it. That's all they get. Now, sometimes they could say, well, power our building and then use the rest of the roof for community solar. We can do that too. But typically, we're going to say to a building like this, we're going to pay you X amount. We are now a tenant on your roof. And we, according to the legislation in New Jersey, have to be a tenant for at least 20 years. So that's a 20-year project. We're going to make electricity. We're going to sell it into the community. And we're going to sell it at guaranteed discounts. So when we fill out our applications with the state, we have to say exactly what the discounts will be. And they are guaranteed. So what do you mean guaranteed, Kevin? How does that work? So PSE&G has a number that we all pay, right? We will be, for our year 2 projects, 25% less than whatever you're currently paying with PSE&G. So if PSE&G rates go up, the rate goes up a little bit, but it's always just a fixed 25% less than you would otherwise pay. Does that make sense? 25.
That's not enough.
What's that?
It's not enough.
I agree. It's not enough. But it's 25%. Now, in some states, it's 50. In some states, the legislation says 50. So if we're going to get together and we're going to talk to the BPU and we're going to talk about legislation and everything else, then that's one thing we can push. So the first year, it was 10% and 15%. So that's what a lot of first year projects are. In the second year, because we're through now the second year of community solar, it's up to 25% for most people, okay? In the first year of community solar, my company got 8 projects, these 2 and several more. One of them happened to be on Woodbridge Avenue in Edison. It's called RPM. And that building had solar on it. The guy had solar for years and we were powering his building with it, but he had all that additional roof space. And he said it's a coffee. That's where he keeps coffee, you know. And I think he's one of the biggest in the country. In any event, we built the community solar project on there, and now we're taking that additional roof space and we're selling electricity in the community. Here's the thing about community solar that's important to understand. Those discounts are guaranteed, and what the state had us do is say this: if someone wants to get involved, they go online and they enroll. The enrollment will get easier. There'll be self-attestation, which I'll be able to say, I'm low to moderate, I get a bigger discount, right? I enroll. There's no cost to get in. There's no cost to get out. There's no long-term contract. That's why people say, come on, what's the catch? This is too good to be true. Okay. So then how does a developer like Solar Landscape make money? If this is a for-profit business that I work for. Why would developers do this? We're putting the solar up on the roof. When we do that, we're being encouraged by both the federal government and the state government to do that, and we're getting federal tax subsidies to do that. We and other companies like us are building these projects, and what we do is we take the electricity, it goes right to what we call the grid, right to PSE&G. From there, folks go online, they enroll in it, and we sell them. We have the electricity is sent to their homes. We don't send it to their homes. What we're doing is instead of tying into the building, we're tying into the street. So PSE&G now has that electricity. It's our electricity that we made, and we then have a right to sell it. They deliver it, so PSE&G is going to give you a delivery charge. You still get a PSE&G bill. You're still a PSE&G customer. What you're doing is you're saying to PSE&G, I am going to opt for that clean energy alternative. I want that green energy, not the dirty energy. That's what community solar is.
Well, they have like that second bill though, that like comes in. Or like they're like, oh, you're gonna get 2 bills.
Right. So great question. Thank you. So we have one bill now. So our second year project have one bill. We were talking about that yesterday. We're paying a fortune for that. What happens is, just use Solar Landscape. We're making electricity, and PSE&G is delivering electricity. So you're going to get a PSE&G bill for delivery. You're going to get a Solar Landscape bill for the electricity minus the 25% discount, which is represented on the bill. We got a lot of pushback from that after the first year, so we've been pushing the Board of Public Utilities. This isn't fair to people. All people hear is, I'm getting 2 bills.
Right.
I used to get 1 bill. 2 is more than 1. That means I'm paying more. You're paying less, but it's a pain that for people. So what we did is we engaged with a company called Arcadia, and they do bill consolidation. So for our year 2 projects, everybody's going to get 1 bill. On the bill, you're going to see this is what is going to PSE&G. This is you had $100 of electricity. You would have paid PSE&G $100 minus 25. You're paying 75 for this. We're turning dirty energy into clean energy. That's benefit number 1. Benefit number 2 is when we do that, all the things that Sandra was talking about and Bill was talking about, reverse this idea of climate change and rivers overflowing, and that's what we're helping every single year that we build these projects. The third is that energy equity. Here's the thing. What if I can't afford solar? What if I live in an apartment complex? What if I live in one of the housing authorities, which we work closely with in New Jersey? What if I'm retired? You know, condo. I can't do that. What if there's shade on my house? What if I have my roof is shot? What if I don't like the way the panels look, or I'm afraid I'm going to sell my house in a few years, but I want to participate in this? Now I can, anyone can, with community solar. And the last one, of course, is the cost savings. Okay, next, thank you. So this is what I'm going to sum up with, and I'm going to talk about our workforce, and hopefully we can all get together. If we take nothing else away from this, I want to say about the success we're having training folks and the help that we need. So in the first 2 years of community solar, there were 150 projects approved across the state. Okay, we had 54 of those, the company. What's fortunate, that's more than anyone else. Those projects will power 35,000 residents, and we will prevent 200,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide from going into the atmosphere every single year just because of the first 2 years projects. We're waiting to hear from the Board of Public Utilities when they're going to release the 3rd round. In other words, tell us what the rules for year 3 are. I hope, to your point, they're going to increase the discounts that they're making people give, okay? And I think, frankly, I think they should. And it makes it better for everybody. So, you know, I just got back from New Mexico last week. We were doing some training out there. New Mexico, California, Illinois, a couple others, Minnesota. All of the way that they're doing community solar is all based on the way New Jersey did it. So all the electricity that we make, 51% of the electricity, we have to provide the low to moderate income households. Not a choice, we have to. That's New Jersey. We have to engage meaningfully within our communities where they won't approve our projects. There are a lot of projects that didn't get approved. So the workforce we're doing at Edison Job Corps and some others is one of the reasons that we're getting this approval. So that's what I need your help with. So, solar installation training is what we're doing. Solar installers are going to be needed as this green energy economy increases. How do folks find out about this if someone doesn't bring that message to them. So I think about the folks that are in Job Corps, they're kind of captive there. The students stay there for about 2 years, they stay on campus, never leave. How do they find out about this? And here's what I found, because I oversee this. After the first year I said, I think the most self-defeating thing we ever do is train young people for jobs and don't have jobs to provide them.
Yeah.
That's worse than not training them at all.
That's right.
Getting their hopes up. You know, it hurt me that we didn't have that part of it better ironed out. So what we did is, you said something about Sunrun before.
Sunrun, yeah, one of my former students.
Yeah, one of the former students. Great company, right? Sunrun, biggest residential in the country. We're talking to Sunrun. I spoke with them when I was in Albuquerque. They want to hire these students that we train. They want to hire residents that we train. They want their diverse, or the workforce rather, to look like the population. Okay, and that's what we want. So that's who we're training. And Sunrun was nice enough to say, we want to hire folks. So when they get done, let's have a pathway to employment. Momentum Solar, Trinity Solar, Positive Energy, and a lot of the subcontractors that we're working with. So these jobs are being created. We want your help in getting the word out, getting folks trained, getting them up and ready to go to work. Now, when folks start with us, they earn, it's called $25 an hour on a regular project. But on the projects that size that I was showing you, as most of the community solar projects are, it's 62. That's a family sustainable wage, $62 an hour. So Ricky has 2 babies, and he said, Kev, he goes to me, Unc, they're gonna, she's gonna be able to stay home. She'll be part-time now because I've gotten past the point. I put some money away and got some things that I
So
need.
$62 an hour,
$62 an hour.
40 hours a week?
Yes.
What are the hours?
Yeah, well now hang on. So that's on the commercial side, just to be clear. On the residential side, if I'm a residential installer, I don't make that much. There are projects that are 1 megawatt or bigger. So this is Kirkland, so this is like from Costco, right? So if you think about a Costco roof, that would be 1 megawatt or bigger. Those big projects, developers have to pay prevailing wage. So it's in New Jersey, that's $62 an hour. Different little county to county, 61, 62, 62. Those are the jobs you want. These guys are almost fighting over who's going to prevailing wage because they're not all prevailing wage, but what we do is make sure that everybody goes on a rotating scale, but that can make a difference. So do our installers make $80, $90, $100,000 a year? Yes, they do. And the most wonderful thing about it is you don't need a college education. You don't need technical skills like you would need to be an electrician. What you need is a desire to work hard, get up every single day, show up, and put in a full day. And if you do that with this, you'll be very, very successful. So we're happy to bring this workforce development training to the community. Reggie, I need help. I count on you, Bill, Roberto, if we could talk about this stuff and make it more meaningful. I want to thank Keith Boos because Keith is first person that I met who was so involved not only with the NAACP people, but the idea of energy equity and environmental justice, and we connected. And I'm just so happy that I finally had the opportunity to meet everybody today and talk a little bit more. There's one final slide, I think. So just to sum this up, we'll go click, click, click here, right? This is a new statewide initiative. The idea of this is energy equity, environmental justice. If you want to read something great, go to the NAACP website and Google cold-blooded. 2 words, cold-blooded. It is a magnificent white paper that NAACP did that'll send chills to you. But basically, what I took away from it more than anything else is that communities of color breathe air that's 40% less clean than other communities. That was startling to me. And that's because of all these logistics centers, that's because of all this traffic. We have to do something about that. And the state is taking that very, very seriously. The second is access for all. Somebody said accessibility earlier over here when we were talking. Yeah, accessibility. The whole point of community solar is that anybody can have it. The third thing is that 51% has to go to low to moderate income. The fourth thing I want you to remember is that the guaranteed discount of 25% every year. Every year. Now, when Reggie and Bill strong-arm me, which they will, then we could talk about doing something different as we do for our community-based partners. So let's get that higher. Let's get it 30. Or let's make a $200 or $250 contribution to the NAACP Middlesex chapter for every person that enrolls in community solar. We'll do something like that, and we'll roll it out and do tabling and get the word out to people. The fifth one, no long-term fees. You don't have to stay in if you're unhappy with it. You can get right out. And then the last is that we want to partner with organizations to get the word out, help educate people so that they're very, very comfortable with this.
What about those who live in towns that are like towns that pay the township for and like not PSE&G for their electric?
You mean like Vineland?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
stuff.
Madison, yeah. There's some strange little nuance to that. So no, that wouldn't happen for them.
So there's no
In
way
those
around
rare
that
cases.
either?
Not currently. Not currently. Another thing legislatively we got to figure out, because they should be participating.
And what happens to solar panels? Like, they're not always good, right?
So these solar panels are warranted for 25 years.
Okay.
There's been a lot done. Most of the solar panel can be broken down without any effect to the environment.
Okay.
But there is effect to environment to build the solar panels. Bill was talking about, all this stuff. Yeah, it takes about two and a half years to get to the point where the carbon offset has offset what it costs to make some of the things.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you. Not a problem. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Again, Michelle Haynes. I'm with Haynes Prep School. And this evening, I want to introduce to you two youth speakers that are going to kind of tell us about what they imagine a green future to look like. Give you a glimpse into what, our future looks like from their eyes, okay? From teens that hear about energy and the environment from adults, from adult perspectives, from adult ideologies, but like what does it translate into when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 19 even? How do you make an impact? In what ways can you be meaningful in this green energy movement?
When I think about green energy or the green future, I look back on our pandemic year, March 13th, 2020. The date that led us all in infamy. That was the last day of my regular life. So that day I remember I went home from school, and that was the last day that I left school in normalcy. And it was when COVID ruined New Jersey for a little bit. But for our environment, it kind of made it better. But I'll talk to you about that later. When I imagine the green future, one thing I think of are solar panels. And when I say solar panels, I mean solar panels. I want them everywhere. And aside from rooftops and solar farms that already exist, I imagine that we can get to a point where buildings could be made of solar captured materials. It would also be cool to have buildings that take advantages of architectural designs to incorporate the panels into it. Some people might say, what if there's no sun? Well, that's a great question. Access converted, solar energies can be stored for cloudy days, and solar panels also collect UV, or also known as ultraviolet rays, which present to be a higher percentage than standard rays. These panels can also power the electric car charging stations, providing a free fuel alternative. The one thing that car makers need to do is bring down the cost of electric cars. Therefore, my green energy future would include cost-effective ways to incorporate the green energy alternatives that are out here so the mass general public can make green lives strive. Electric cars are nice. Who doesn't want a top-of-the-line Tesla or a nice BMW electric model? But if an average person or household can't afford it, what's the point? My green energy future is inclusive of all people, no matter their income. I would love an electric scooter, hint hint mom and dad, but the electric model I like is over $3,000. I can always keep my finger crossed, right? Yeah. But in my green energy future, all teens would have the access to these scooters. Having more of a reliance on solar panels means less fossil fuels and harms emissions to pollute their air and environment in general. An interesting look at how beneficial less emissions in the environment was to New Jersey is to look back at our pandemic year of 2020. For a period of over 3 months starting March 13th, 2020, most, if not all, non-essential New Jersey businesses were closed. This means that meant that less people were on the road using their cars and other forms of gas-powered transportation. But one of the effects we saw was better air quality in New Jersey. Wildlife out and more about, and it was also noted the ozone was better. What does all this mean? It means my vision of an energy green New Jersey would be great for the state. Solar isn't the only green, clean energy. Wind power is clean and renewable source as well. In Atlantic City, there are huge windmills by the casino areas. That may be hard to do in the city, but in my green energy future for New Jersey, we can have a smaller but stronger ones like the size of a windmill toys kids play with. They can be used to power phone charging stations or laptop charging on the go. If it's not a windy day, the windmills could be hand turned or you could pedal them to make them go as well. Either way, it is a way greener and a part of my plan. Overall, greener energy vision for New Jersey is awesome. We need to make sure solar is everywhere. That access to electric vehicles and electric modes of transportation are affordable for everyone. And install my mini windmills all over. Thank you for your time this evening.
Throughout the years, I've been influenced by many social, civil, and environmental leaders. One quote that comes to mind is from Dalai Lama, who impressed upon the world that it is our collective and individual responsibility to preserve and tend to the world in which we all live. This resonates with me and is a message I want to convey to everyone this evening. Our planet is a beautiful place, but it's not treasured. An expensive piece of art is handled with literal white gloves placed gingerly upon display for all to marvel at, and depending on just how valuable the work of art is guarded and vaulted. Yet our planet in all of its majesty is devalued daily in exchange for convenience and human ingenuity. Trash being littered in streets and water bottles still not being properly disposed are just two examples of everyday problems that continue to plague the future of Earth. How can we expect the future of our planet to be bright, to be green, if we don't take the steps now to stop the expansion of pollutants and their long-lasting effects to our environment and ourselves? Tomorrow's future should be imagined from a green place. My future and future generations to come futures should be green. Let's pull my green vision down to a more local level. The state of New Jersey has enacted legislation to help the state move in a green direction. Incentive for homeowners to install solar panels, homeowners to recycle and use specific bins, and most recently, the ban on plastic bags and straws. And while these are all great steps in the right direction, none of the incentives directly target my generation. How can my contemporaries positively affect change when it seems that the green change wanted isn't attainable or actionable by teens and young adults? I see a green future for New Jersey as one where young adults ages 13 to 18 are challenged to take part in activities that will improve the environment. Young adults should have an understanding of the damage that may happen when we casually toss a bottle in the street or don't take the time to place a plastic bottle in the right container. On a larger scale, there's no reason why all teens aren't educated on the benefits of solar and other alternate energy forms. Teenagers hear our parents become excited about saving money on their PSEG bill. There's no excitement that clear energy is helping the environment heal. I see a green future where all schools are powered by solar energy, and then they take it a step further and have the computerized meter on display for the school to collectively monitor its energy consumption, its average carbon footprint, and how the change over to solar energy is positively affecting the local environment. There's definitely a green future where a school district is 100% green, where everything from the walls to the ground is made from all recycled materials. These green schools would go beyond being solar powered. All lights would be LED and would automatically turn on when ambient lighting hit a certain level to optimize the collective solar power. The school day and after school activities can be catered to daylight savings time. Even better, the school calendar in New Jersey should change to be from March to October, since the winter months, November to February, have the shortest daylight days and don't allow us to optimize our green capabilities. Composting will also be of use, and a farm-to-table approach to school lunch will be the way to go. It's a green future that will be integrated into the future great minds of New Jersey. According to U.S. News and World Reports, New Jersey has the third best educational system in the nation, which means 47 other states look to New Jersey to follow its lead, and the other two, Massachusetts and Connecticut, look to collaborate with us on innovative initiatives. A green future for our educational system is definitely an endeavor that all states and the federal government should look to accomplish. How prolific can my imagined green future be? According to the New Jersey Department of Education, our state has 686 operating school districts and 87 charter schools as of the 2020-2021 academic year. If the state took my imagined green energy approach to the district level, every household and every child would be positively affected. New Jersey future homeowners, workforce, professors, engineers, and the like would have it ingrained in them that the future was supposed to be green. And depending on their grade, like the preschool and kindergartners, would barely remember a New Jersey that was not green. My green future would become a national movement, spearheaded by adults but centralized around children. Would it take time? Yes. But if politics were put aside and we all worked together for the common good of our planet, it wouldn't take that long to realize. If we individually put aside partisanship for the greater good, my imagined green future could become our really green truth. In essence, we'll be prioritizing the planet, putting our kid gloves to handle it, ensuring we treasure the environment we depend on to live. To quote the Dalai Lama, it is a collective and individual responsibility to preserve and tend to the world in which we all live. Let's work individually and collectively, city, county, state, and nationally, to make the country and eventually the world a treasured, vault-worthy place that will be a greener, more environmental friendly world for all. Thank you.
Okay. We got one under our belt, and we're gonna get better at this. Our presentations are gonna be really great and informative, more participation. I listened to the two youngsters, they were young adults. They were fantastic. This new thing that I called historic before, we don't have the workforce to sustain it. We have to train up. And that's from everybody from a guy that lifts up a panel and tries to get it on the roof to the engineer that's designing it. And we don't want to be left behind. And I'm not just saying that I'm a people of color, people in underserved communities. We're doing this because understand where you live and why things are the way they are. That's what we have to, those are the things that we need to address, attack, and we have to start to up training everybody. We have companies in this new energy situation that are sympathetic to our needs in underserved communities, not leaving out any population that's out there. The opportunity is here. We've never seen this before. Okay? And this is why we have to be. I want to thank each and every one of you. I hope to see you again. We are going to be consistent in what we're doing and how we do it. We'll be looking at targeting the main concern of people, just not, today was an evening, and I thank Sandra and I thank Kevin for coming. It was just an introduction to open that thought process that maybe now I'll start to understand a little bit more about what's going on. I know what questions to ask. I don't have to feel stupid in asking these questions. I understand. And we're going to target our LL sessions and LLS sessions for that. It's going to be more directed based on information that we get back from community. That's why we ask you to sign up, because we can send out surveys, we can do these things, we can find out the information, target that whatever particular session and the particular need that you have that concern about, and we can address it. Solar was one of the biggest things, it's one of the newest things. Like I said, we don't have we cannot sustain this business. We do not have enough people understanding what this is. Okay, so I applaud you guys. Thank you so much for coming out.